Good afternoon, everybody. This is Brian Hartman coming to you live once again from Pharus Plaza, located at 1859 Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Come by and see us. You can find our names out on the building. We have a lot of cars going by, so you might actually hear some of the traffic. Hopefully not. Excited to have another live at 5. And Pharus Global, you can find our information at pharusglobal.com. We are, amongst other things, we're a business consulting firm. We do commercial and residential lending, commercial and residential real estate. We do personal and commercial lines of insurance. We actually do IT services, medical practice management, billing, coding, credentialing. And we also do credit repair in our spare time. And with that, we have our episode number 47 tonight, featuring Dale Keshishian. She is the CEO of HealthWorks Academies. And today's episode, Dale presents "The Doctor Won't See You Now. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Where will our healthcare and life science workforce come from?" I'm excited to learn more about that. And with that said, let's give a warm welcome to Dale Keshishian. Hey, Dale, how are you?
Great, Brian. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this. It's been a little bit since we got this one scheduled, I think, right?
Right.
So I'm looking forward to learning more about HealthWorks Academies. Before we jump into things, for all of our live audience out there, if you'd like to ask Dale or myself any questions as we are going through the process and the show, feel free to drop a question or comment into the comments, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and we'll be happy to get those questions answered. And happy to have you all with us tonight. So, Dale, why don't we start off with, I'd love to learn about HealthWorks Academies. How did this all come about?
It's a long story, but I'll keep it brief. Just by way of background, I managed my husband's medical practice for 18 years. He was an internist, practiced for 25 years, and transitioned out of that role into a consulting role with a global company. And, with a consulting business, we all had sales accountability. So we were, looking for new clients. But I really wanted to bring their technology to healthcare. It was around transformational thinking. It was very powerful, working with Fortune 500 companies. It was amazing work. And in the course of meeting with senior leaders in companies and industry outside of medical practice, what I recognized was that they all had concerns about workforce. And we're going to talk about the contributing factors for that. But the question became, who's going to do the work? And that's how HealthWorks pipeline program got started. So we are a talent development pipeline program. We link STEM education and high school and early college students with professional health science careers. We have a comprehensive STEM curriculum that's embedded with social and emotional learning and problem-based learning. We have career shadowing opportunities across the healthcare spectrum in clinical medicine, biopharma, medical devices, healthcare technology, behavioral health, and much more. And then a series of panels that we provide virtually to schools. So students get a look into industries and careers and academic pathways and meet the people right from their seat in school.
Wow.
And then we partner that with our mentoring program. So it's a 6-week one-on.
Oh, it looks like we may have an internet glitch here. Yep, Dale will be back with us momentarily. We've been having, I guess, where she is in Philadelphia, a little bit spotty internet due to the weather that they're having there. So she will be back with us shortly. And for all you Phillies fans out there, I'm sure Dale will be happy to hear all about that when she pops back on, because they're going to the World Series this year. Um, so we're gonna be talking more about the workforce. Oh, and here she comes. There you are.
Sorry about that. I disappeared for a minute.
No worries, no worries. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I was going to ask you was, it sounds like, if I'm hearing right, that high school and college students now have the ability to be a part of a shadowing program. So they could actually go out into the workforce and see what the real deal is out there. Is that
Oh,
how it works?
we have done that, and that's part of our model for if there are companies regionally, but we want to be able to meet the needs of urban, suburban, and rural students across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And there may not be those industries in their geographic location. So we have moved to a virtual opportunity. So they meet the professionals. We can bring a video team through, on site and relay it that way, so students get the experience. And it's really, HealthWorks Academies is a bridge. What we recognized is that education, unless you're a trade school and you're working with an apprentice program, and you know
Uh-oh. I think we might have lost Dale. Up, you're back again. You didn't get lost.
okay,
Okay.
good, thank you. But mainstream schools, and they're not they're not industry centric, right? They're agnostic, and so they need support to introduce students to college and career readiness for a health science future.
Mm-hmm.
And so we listen to our industry partners about where they're innovating, where their workforce deficits are, where they need workforce, and we can talk about those industries, and then convey that information back to students and schools so that we can develop a pipeline. And our mentoring program goes beyond high school, so from high school to higher, and so students have support all the way through.
Very nice. Very interesting. I remember way back when I went to high school, there was a finance program, and I actually got to, at the time, there was really no virtual because there was no internet back then, but um, I did get an opportunity to go into the workforce in a similar fashion and get to spend time shadowing different departments in the financial world. And so I can appreciate what you're now doing for a lot of these students, and I'm sure they do appreciate it too. So,
When I started HealthWorks, I had the opportunity to interview at my dining room table, just ask a question, what
mhm,
was your almost certain future in high school? And everybody had an answer and not what they were currently doing. And then
mhm,
the next question was what happened? And everybody had a story, and every story was a happenstance, just like you described.
it's
And we
great.
said, well, if we want to create a national pipeline, why don't we create a program that creates the happenstance?
Hmm.
And so that's what we're looking to do.
That's fantastic. And so national, they can do it anywhere that they want,
That's
basically.
right.
That's
That's right.
great.
And we can connect with professionals anywhere in the world. So
Wow.
when you think about pharma and some of the technologies, they're global industries.
Right.
And we're going to talk about diversity. It's really important for students to understand that there are no boundaries
Hmm.
to who can be in this field.
That's very true. That's awesome. Excellent. So I know that there are, a lot of industries, workforce industries that are in dire straits to some extent. What's the state of the current healthcare workforce? What are we looking at?
Well, a couple of things. I think the biggest concern, and anyone in industry will tell you, um, STEM graduates in college is on a steep decline.
Hmm.
And if you think about STEM, and I'm not just talking about healthcare, I would argue
Did we lose you, Dale? Yep, we did. She will be back in a minute. I'm curious to learn more about the healthcare workforce because I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this evening know in your own industries that there's a decline in that particular industry, as there are for so many of them. And unfortunately, now with us going into or in a recession, depending on what your definition is, you probably are seeing it happen even further because there are layoffs happening all over. So, and be curious to see, what do we need to do to be able to help build up the healthcare workforce again. And I'm sure we're going to hear more about that when Dale pops back on. And there she is. There you are.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I'd let everybody know that you're having some inclement weather there. So
Yeah,
internet is spotty. So we're good.
it's a little tricky. But
Yeah.
I was saying that every business is a STEM business. So if you're in healthcare, you're in life sciences, you're in tech, you're in finance, you're in business. Those are all STEM areas. And when we have a decline in students, that affects everyone.
Mm.
And there are pockets of industry that are particularly hard hit, but it has ramifications for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing, when we talk about the current state of healthcare workforce, are the demands. So we have an aging population, 10,000 people a day turning 65 and living longer and
Yeah.
more dependent on healthcare. And you're in Florida, you see it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm sure
definitely.
you do.
Front row seat.
Yeah. And at the same time, our workforce is aging. So
Mm-hmm.
part of that aging population is our workforce. Right now, a third of the physicians in the country are over the age of 65.
Wow.
That's pretty scary when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that chronic disease is on the rise. So, obesity, cardiovascular disease, um, uh, uh, stroke, um, all on the rise. And with a decline in STEM graduates, that is even more dire for a diverse population. And for as long as we've been tracking, Black and Hispanic graduates in STEM at the college level has been flat.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has tremendous ramifications, and we'll talk about that as well.
So why do you think this is so important to be able to get out there? I mean, who else besides HealthWorks Academies are trying to put things like this together at this point?
There are lots of programs, to boost STEM, to get kids into sciences, get into healthcare. But what we've seen are these, and wonderful, dedicated people.
Mm-hmm.
But what we found was there's a deficit in creating a pipeline. So while they reference their work as a pipeline program, there's no pipe.
Mm.
And if you think about a job fair or a summer camp or something like that, it's not following students from grades 9 all the way to higher.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so what we really needed was a pipe. And so when we created HealthWorks Academies, we created a robust program that has the career awareness partnered with the academic preparation, partnered with industry, all the way through to hire. And for our corporations and our industry partners, the mentoring program allows them to develop their own pipeline. So they all, they're all growing their talent from within, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's not enough talent to start with, then they're stealing each other's talent. And that's, when I'm not working in HealthWorks, I'm a baker. I don't cut slimmer slices. I make bigger pies. Right. So, we need, we need workforce. We'll just make more. Right. So we created this pipeline so that with our industry partners adopting a school or adopting a program or sponsoring us, we develop the students and work with their industry mentors, their volunteers, to create this pipeline right into their company. And the company can create all kinds of incentives for students to progress there and be retained.
So it sounds like you're not only working with the actual practices or companies out there, but also with the universities and the high schools at the same time.
Right.
And
right.
I would imagine that the number of retirees is much higher than the number of new students coming into these programs at this point, which is causing the deficit, right?
Well, the deficit, I think, is really being driven by demand. So we have the aging population. We have, healthcare is a $4 trillion industry where virtually everyone is a consumer, right? So we have tremendous demand. We have innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at what's happening with medical devices and wearables and Apple Watches and all the things that are, that are being introduced, right? And so we need more and more professionals to support innovation and support, an aging workforce, to support chronic disease, to support diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we really have a deficit in the workforce to meet demand.
Interesting. So talking about diversity a little bit, it's full cycle. It sounds like technology, the actual medical field itself, being able to build the devices that are being utilized. The people, when they hear healthcare, they think of hospitals. But maybe you can talk a little bit more about what is the diversity and what does that all look like?
Well, what we have, what I look at as a manufacturing model, right? Kind of like one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not a one size fits all industry.
Mm-hmm.
We are an industry of individuals, and healthcare is personal. And everybody, just like our fingerprints are different, our DNA is different, our genetic makeup is different, our, everything about us is unique, and our physical, psychological well-being is all related, and it's unique to each individual.
Right.
And when you source a medical provider, it's really comforting to have someone who looks like you, or somebody who understands you, or somebody who understands your culture.
Mm-hmm.
And those are critically important to get buy-in and trust and compliance and adherence. And all of that translates into better health outcomes.
Absolutely.
So when we have a deficit of diverse workforce, it negatively impacts patient outcomes. The other place that it's really important is when we're doing research in clinical trials, when we're doing technology, involving technology and userability, because the users and the participants represent all of us, all of our diverse selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not represented, then it can negatively impact us. I'll give you an example. During COVID is a respiratory disease,
right?
And the first thing that they would do if you suspected you have COVID is a pulse ox. They would put your finger in the little clip and check your oxygen,
Right.
right? And if you needed supplemental oxygen, they'd hook you right up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just found out that that pulse ox machine doesn't work for people with dark skin.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
So for Black and Hispanic folks and for people with dark skin, because it doesn't read the through the melanin,
Mm-hmm.
that they may not have been getting the oxygen that they needed
Wow.
because the device was not
Accurate.
accurate for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrifying,
That's scary.
and to think that that it's not equal for everyone.
Mm.
And that really has examples across the board. And so when we have professionals in the field,
Mm-hmm.
we have diversity represented, we have people whose voices are heard and
Right.
who represent people like them,
Mm-hmm.
we have better science and we have better medicine.
Very true. Boy, that pulse ox has been around for how many years, and they're just now
Many,
figuring this out.
many, many. And I just, I shudder to think how many people were negatively affected,
Yeah.
in something that, really could have been addressed very differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a reminder, if anybody that is viewing our show has any questions for Dale, please feel free to drop them into the comments, whether it be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and we'll be happy to get those questions answered for you, or just simply drop a hi and say hello. Um, so, what is the average person able to do about helping develop the healthcare workforce?
The average person, I
Well,
think,
yeah, what can we do about it?
well, I think, starting with awareness, starting with the big picture. When we think about healthcare, and just like students in high school, when I talk to them about health careers, they'll say doctor, nurse, dentist, EMT, phlebotomist. What else is there,
Mhm.
right? And there are thousands and thousands of careers and broad industry impact
Right.
that affects all of us. And so awareness for one thing. Certainly support is always is we're a nonprofit organization, so support is important. Um, but the awareness, and then I think for anyone with children
Right.
to inform them of the careers that are, and to look a little deeper,
Hmm.
because what we find is kids that are great in math and science and maybe don't really want to be a doctor or a nurse,
Hmm.
and there are so many things that they can do
That are related in the industry.
related. They're great careers. There's a career ladder, companies with extraordinary support, tuition reimbursement, support for advanced degrees, salary increases, leadership increases, and great opportunities. But parents typically, if they're not in the industry, don't know. And like I said, teachers, counselors, and administrators in school are, they're not connected to industry in a way that they would know. And so, just bringing the awareness of the opportunities. You
So
know,
if that brings up a really good point. If parents do have children that, let's say, are in their teens and high school, and may think they have an interest, what do they do? Like, what's the next step? Do they reach out to you? Do they reach out to uh, college universities? What's the best way to push it forward?
Well, I would have them talk to their school because we work with schools,
Right.
and we have a cohort of HealthWorks Academy students at the school.
Okay.
So they progress grades 9 through 12, in the HealthWorks Academies cohort, and then they have access to a whole suite of offerings. One of our newest offerings is a self-paced video for CRISPR science. That is, just supports cell and gene therapy, which is just, cutting edge medicine and just making a huge difference and fascinating. And there just are not enough people in the field.
It's really scary. I know that it's happening in other industries too, and unfortunately, I don't think with the state of the economy, it's going to get any better either. It's probably going to start getting a little bit worse. So we all need to pitch in and do our homework and be able to help push kids along to where they should be going.
There are tremendous opportunities in pharmaceutical manufacturing, in graduate level research. And that has particularly been hard hit because of immigration laws. About 2/3 of our students were from other countries. And so now the students that occupy those seats are really minimal, and that has reach across every industry. And, students in high school.
Uh-oh, did we lose you, Dale? We were doing so good there. I think we may have lost her. Yep, she will be back momentarily. In the meantime, while we're waiting, you can see Dale's contact information at the bottom. Her name is Dale Keshishian. Email address is dkesh@healthworksacademies.org. So her website is healthworksacademies.org. Phone number 215-479-5242. And you could reach out to her for more information. And here she is. Maybe. There you go. You're back. I just went through how people can contact you and taught them how to pronounce your last name.
So, well, thank you.
My pleasure. So a lot of good information here, Dale. You mentioned support for your nonprofit. People can go to healthworksacademies.org to be able to make donations if they choose to.
It's best right now if they contact me by email. We just had a glitch on our website. We're fixing it.
Okay.
But it's not, the donate button is not currently operational. I apologize for that. We had an issue. So, but if they can get in touch with me, and I can make that happen.
Sounds great. And before we end our show this evening, was there anything else that we may not have touched on that you would like to touch before we go?
I think that I would like to go back to the diversity issue. We have schools that don't have STEM programs, that don't have certified STEM teachers, that don't have role models, that don't have industry awareness.
Right.
And if we're going to build that diversity, and these are beautiful, bright kids that really want to be somebody, they really want to make a difference. They want to contribute, and they just don't know how. And so when we come in and, our scientists and our professionals look like them, came from their background. Same thing with rural kids, and in some communities across this country, we have one doctor for 11,000 people. Imagine, right? And, just like I said, healthcare is personal. It's also regional. So when you have someone from the neighborhood, who can relate to the people in the neighborhood as a professional, that's a game changer.
Absolutely.
And be an ambassador for more kids to follow in their footsteps. And we really want to be able to do that.
That's an excellent point. It's almost like you can equate it to the student that wants to become a baseball or basketball player, and there are plenty of role models out there for them to know where to go to next. But in the world of healthcare, somebody that wants to be the next great doctor, or build the most innovative technology, a lot of times they just don't know where to turn, and could almost get lost in the shuffle unless there was a way up.
And we lose them. It's a missed opportunity. And who knows how many countless really brilliant, bright students that we could have fostered.
Wow.
And we want to make sure that we capture their interest and build on it.
Really great point. Excellent. So yeah, we got to be able to connect the dots from
Absolutely
the student through the program and get them there.
Yep. All the dots, all the stepping stones, all the way through.
Absolutely.
And we know we can do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we appreciate all that you're doing, Dale. And again, Dale Keshishian, Dcash at HealthWorksAcademies.org, 215-479-5242. Thank you very much for braving the inclement weather and making it back onto the show a few times there.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to spread the word about what we're doing. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. For those of you that would like to be the next guest on the show, please track me down at pharusglobal.com. All of my contact information is there. We do this every Tuesday, or try to do it every Tuesday, live at 5. So we're happy to get you on the schedule. Thank you all for being with us this evening. Dale, thank you very much again, and have a great night, and we'll hopefully get some updates in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.